All right, timer's on. And I guess that means we are as well. They say young money is the monster in Lost Crew, but I think I'm here with someone who is truly the young lion of the Vander crew. We are here with official young lion of the team and repeat guest, one of my favorite people on or off of Twitter. We are here with at Josh Barrel, artist supreme. We're sitting down to talk to Josh. Josh, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Howard. How are you?
Not too bad. Got some of that beautiful Minnesota snowfall, which I guess on your side of the border. Remind me where you are again?
I'm in Canada. We talked about this last
Yes.
time. Our igloo city got absolutely dumped on.
Yeah, it's all the one big city, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like Canada, it's just like the Omni town.
Yeah, we're one big city just along the strip of the border. People talk about that all the time. And then anything north of that, there's absolutely nothing.
Okay, frozen wastes outside, merriment and cultural tapestries inside. Sounds pretty
Yeah.
good. It would be awesome to have free healthcare for everything.
Everything with an asterisk.
Yeah, it's I mean, I'm sure if I just walked into a hospital and said, "Give me a vasectomy, you old skinflint." Well, actually in my case they probably fast track it. You know, it's the only way to be sure. Nip this thing in the bud. But yeah,
Drop
or
everything you're
PUD, I
doing.
guess the case may be. Yep, we need all nurses on floor. This guy does not want to have babies. But I guess on that note, since starting up the Vanderjam last August, which honestly seems much longer ago, you are, I am happy to say, you really have become like the ward, the child that it takes a village to raise. I guess in a lot of ways you become my son.
I'm so honored.
Yeah, it's I mean the guys down at the hospital didn't think it was an honor, but they're not here and we are.
My parents
Well,
aren't thrilled.
exactly. It's like, sorry, Josh's parents, there's a new dad in town and his name is Mayor. And then they'll be so busy trying to parse that out that we can make a quick exit. Um, but yeah, so last time you were on here, we made a lot of fun of England.
Yeah.
We talked about how everything is like Black Mirror. And yeah, I think when we left it, we were talking about how you had some amazing plans to submit some show art. And anyone who has been following you or me on Twitter lately probably knows about some of those amazing designs. You are a busy cat with a flair for the visual.
Thank you very much. I'm having a lot of fun with the show art. Uh, it's just kind of been something like whenever the inspiration strikes, I just hop on and like churn something out for a couple hours. Uh, but it's been super fun being the like show artist or whatever you would call it.
Well,
Because
I think, yeah, all it takes is one loudmouth guy who's not good at drawing to just be like, hey, come work for me for free.
well, but the thing is now I've got like a bunch of baseline like assets almost. Like I've got everybody who's involved with the show. I've got an illustration of their face. So like that video I just did, I can just, track it onto a guy riding a motorcycle or Tom Hanks in Saving Private Ryan. And then there you go. Get to make something funny.
Which, honestly, that has made my week. For those who haven't seen this video, to celebrate the launch of our multi-variant edutainment company, Vandertainment Media LLC, Josh put together the sizzle reel of all sizzle reels. So head on over to Twitter to check that out. But I'm also like the easiest sell in the world because I try to be self-sufficient and self-starting in any ways that I can. I know absolutely nothing video editing or visual art. So the very fact that you can, poorly lift, an outline of my face over Tom Hanks, I'm just like, this kid is magic.
How would one get involved with Vandertainment LLC?
Why, that's a great question, Josh. Head on over to @VandertainmentL or send an email to Vandertainment LLC to learn more about our various programs we've got going. Twitch streaming, meet and greets, our generous affiliate program, our limited but substantial benefit program that's available to certain tiered members. And last but not least, our school lunches program. Howard Vander for empty handers. We're probably going to change it so it sounds a lot less sexual before we pitch it to the Board of Education.
Plus, you get to be in a group.
All right, kids, get your hands out. The mayor's coming along.
No more.
Hope you brought an appetite, gang. And this is why I need to work with other people. Yeah. It's all about the game, and I can play it. You ever seen that video of Motorhead doing Triple H's theme live at WrestleMania? And it's great because Lemmy clearly forgets or doesn't care what the words are at all.
I've not seen it.
Oh man, it's amazing. It's up there with I think it was WrestleMania 14 or 15 when the DX band, aka not Rage Against the Machine, they did the live version of the classic DX Break It Down walkout theme, but they also did a rendition of America the Beautiful.
Oh no.
Yep, and you can probably guess where this is going, but they made sure to do it America the Beautiful as a proper like rap rock 97 anthem. And it ends with the singer, who again, not Zach De La Rocha, just screaming, America! America! For like 45 seconds over feedback. And like, I don't think I've ever seen people boo any glorious anthem songs of our republic until that day. It's the most incredible thing.
That would have been better than the Woody Guthrie thing, though, at the inauguration.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Most things would. I wonder what Woody Guthrie would think about that.
Yeah, well, don't bother. Don't bother thinking of that. Just do it.
Exactly.
Make sure you cut that pesky verse out, too. You know the one.
I know. When Woody Guthrie sat down and wrote that song, All They Will Call You Will Be Deportee, he was picturing a man just like Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. to come along and fulfill his glorious dream.
This machine kills Cheetos. Woody Guthrie would have been part of the resistance.
Welcome to the resistance, Woody Guthrie. I'm going to keep coming back to this, but I won't continue to sidebar. But yes, since the last time you were on the show, we did start our own media company, and probably the biggest value add is the fact that you are officially part of the team as in-house artist.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I mean,
last time I wasn't.
Saves me from having to make a second phone call to a stranger.
No, thank you very much. I love being part of the team, honestly. You and Hollow have treated me very nicely.
Well, sweets to the sweet, and sometimes even a little saccharine for the good eggs. That Donald Trump though, not a good egg. But I'm assuming we're never going to hear from him again until one day it's like, police find desiccated corpse of former president after 2 months of being locked in one of his hotels, and we just get the full Howard Hughes treatment.
I don't know. I feel like he's going to be back in a major way in like 6 months. I
I
really
don't
think
know,
so.
man.
I think they're gonna give him like a news show or something, like OANN. Is that what it is? Though.
Yeah, or
I'm,
Newsmax, possibly. But I mean, I feel like it's sort of a thing that requires legitimation at the level of government for it to have any value, because sort of the rise of Newsmax, NOAN, is the idea that we're forces to be reckoned with because the current president is vouching for us, and now
yeah,
that
that's
he's
true.
out of office, it's like, well, now you no longer have that legitimation, and now he can go on your show, but like I don't know if that necessarily is a value add anymore. And like obviously, as I've said, and with other guests, like we often take the view here that don't declare things are over within the first couple hours of them happening. History plays the long game, but at the same time, like I don't know, I'm hesitant to be like, well, at least we don't have to worry about that anymore. But it is kind of hilarious that really, without even being too reductive about it, they took away his Twitter and then he just sort of slunk off into the sunset.
Yeah, I mean, he's also like he's super old, right? Like
Yeah.
he doesn't have much left in him. He's not in the best shape. Like I'm more concerned that like one of his shithead sons is gonna be like Don Jr. is just gonna like ride this grift because he was like a nobody and then he just became like a conservative memes guy and it's like I don't know it to me from the outside looks like it gave his life a bit of purpose.
Yeah, I
I don't
mean,
know.
as opposed to the normal trajectory of professional fail son.
Yeah,
I guess it's like, even then, I wonder though, it's like how much of your value is derived not from who you are, but sort of that network that you are a part of. And when you take away that network of power, what happens next? I don't know
yeah.
either way. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, because it all depends, I think, on how many conservative or Republican voters are still hitched to the Trump idea, right? Like
Yeah.
there's going to be
And I
a
mean,
chunk of the Republican Party that like moves away from the ideals of Trump, but there's still a lot of people who think he won and are going to like hold on to that and are like leaving the Republican Party because they're not backing Trump anymore.
well, yeah, and I think ALAB, the ALAB series podcast, which I fully recommend to everybody. They're yet to get back to me on whether the Vander Jam is the official amicus curiae of sibling podcast to them, but I'm going to keep saying until they tell me not to. They recently had an episode sort of looking at the Capitol riot on the 6th and sort of what we can glean from that so far. And it's a good discussion, especially for all the ways that given the makeup of the crowd and everything, that it sort of complicates that easy reading of, oh, this was just motivated by white supremacy and things like that. But the takeaway is, whatever comes next, you can't discount the fact that about 70 million people still voted for this guy, and they're still here. So I don't know
Yeah.
what you do with that, but it's also not my job to know.
Yeah.
Instead, I plan on spending the rest of the day figuring out if my neighbor's internet is fast enough to Twitch stream off of.
Truly is morning in America, and that's with a U.
Oh, and
Oh.
you, and each and every one of you who made up the resistance, including Woody Guthrie. Oh
Trump,
man, now I'm just imagining like he comes out with the guitar. This land is your land. This land is my land, and Trump just goes wrong.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I love how my Trump voice is just guttural Woody Allen. My analyst, he didn't want to vote for me. What a loser. He Groucho Marx.
That sounds like my LeBron James impression.
Oh, wow. Wow, can I hear your LeBron James
Oh,
impression?
shoot the basketball.
Now I'll do My Donald Trump impersonating your LeBron James. All right. I took an hour to tell you I'm going to Miami. What's even happening, Josh? I think if there was a thread to be had, we lost it about 12 minutes ago. But I'm totally fine with that.
I'm totally fine.
Yeah, so it turns out you're not just a man of art in the form of visuals. You're a man of art in the time-honored tradition of celebrity impressions.
The true cornerstone of our culture.
Yeah, as a young person and as a Canadian, I'm thinking of Rich Little. But it feels like there used to be a time where you could make a pretty decent living just being able to like impersonate other people. But it seemed like, you could sell out an auditorium of like 15,000 people solely on the promise of this guy's going to come out and sound like other folks.
This was also the time when you could like buy a 3-story house for doing anything, though. You could be like a door-to-door aluminum siding salesman with a stay-at-home wife, 4 kids, and like a house that would sell for $3 million now.
Exactly, and like
Those
times
were the
are
days.
tough. People aren't buying door to door anymore. Well, you just cut one of these stories off your house and then sell it. You know, boomers, but I mean, they deserve everything they had. They landed at Juno Beach and stopped fascism once and for all until the next time.
Well, their parents did.
Yeah, and they say parents just don't understand. They don't understand Nazism, and you didn't have a problem with that. And that's why, as part of Vandertainment Media LLC, we're announcing our new post-COVID community initiative, Hug a Boomer 2021. If you take a picture of yourself hugging a baby boomer, put it on Twitter, and then I'll give you a link where you can buy some buttons.
Don't be afraid to really get in there, too. They smell like baby powder. It's nice.
Yeah, old people, oh man, they love the feeling of tactile contact. It
Yes.
reminds them of when life was not as confusing to them. The good old days where people could hug each other, cookies came fresh from the oven, and certain kinds of people's ability to vote was heavily regulated.
Oh my! I saw something like that coming. I didn't know
Well,
how
the
you were
rule
gonna
of
slot it
threes.
in.
I'm
Though.
a creature of habit. Yeah, I mean, that's the Vander promise. Bad impressions and casual racism.
But in jest.
Yes, invest today. Get in on all this action. Now, God, where are
My
we
lawyer's
going with
making
this?
me say that any and all opinions expressed in this program are not shared with Vander Media. Vander Media to entertain.
Don't worry. Once this episode goes up and I post it on Twitter, I'll make sure to include a /S. Also, if you are looking to join the team, though, we need someone to write Vander Canon /fic. So get in touch with that. I will happily preview any samples. And yeah, we're proud to announce our new line of it's like Vertigo is to DC. We're having a new imprint called Vander After Dark, where all the best in erotic edutainment, that's where you can find it.
Vander After Dark, that's fucking great.
Well, thank you. That's why I registered the trademark.
All the domains are purchased. Trademark registered.
Exactly.
We do.
Yeah,
we should do something of like the Vander lore, how you came to be.
Yeah. I've been thinking about commissioning my own Vander wiki. I just don't have that kind of time. But I mean, like, that's the weirdest thing about living in the modern world where, even the other day I was like, hey, Outlast 2, what happened at the end of that one? Oh, it turns out somebody made a whole wiki about the franchise. Or, whenever I'm playing Witcher 3 and I take a week off and then I boot it up again and be like, wait, who's everybody and what am I doing again? Oh, thanks, Fextra Life or whatever the hosting site is. So, like, it's even gotten to the point where there are dedicated wiki pages chronicling irritating online personalities, which gets into the trap of, hey guys, look at this nerd. Let's make sure that we set up and maintain and curate an ongoing site listing all the dumb things they do and why they're a big loser. It's like, how many people are working on this site? I
Too
wonder
many.
if you're proving the point you intend to prove, you know?
I devote 20 hours a week editing and maintaining this wiki of someone I don't like. That'll show them. It'll make them
Exactly.
look real
Oh,
dumb.
once they read this wiki, they're gonna feel like such an asshole. I hope they get my link. I need
A
this
bunch,
link bad.
a bunch of sweaty dudes editing the Vander wiki while you are just like haven't even read it yet in a hot tub surrounded by women. That's the
Couple of
dichotomy.
fellas, it's 2021. Um,
Well, of course, me and
the,
Olive.
the oh yeah, of course. I mean, all boats rise with the tide, and water's rising in this here jacuzzi. There are perks to working at a pool supply store, namely when it's time to send back the floor models of the hot tubs. Did you know that you can very easily hijack the truck because you know where it's going?
I've got so much chlorine pucks, man. You don't even
Oh
fucking
man,
know, man.
I got chlorine for days. You guys feeling a little sick? Grind up one of these. Good for what ails you.
You should make that like a Patreon sub tier, like crazy expensive though, like a $300 one. You get to go out and record an episode with you in a tub, like in a hot tub.
Yeah, it'll be called. Oh man, okay. I feel like there is a perfect name that's just on the tip of our tongues, and I'm not hanging up this call until we come up to it. It's
Just
Buds and Suds with Mayor Howard. Okay, got it.
I had something
folks,
and that just deleted it from my head. Something to do with jets. I don't know.
all right, it's jet setting. I don't know. We'll come back to it, folks. We have a lot of fun here, but there's nothing funny about grand theft. Each year, millions of jacuzzis are hijacked en route across America, and many needy families spend the holidays without scalding hot water that has the thing shooting bubbles into it. But with your canned goods and your phone calls, we can make sure that the next victim won't be the first, but they may be the last.
Gather around the fire with your family in your jacuzzi.
Exactly. Can't lose if you got the jacuzzi. Did you know that divorce rates for families that own a jacuzzi drop by about 38%?
Did you just pull that out of your ass, or is that for real?
No, I pulled it out of this jacuzzi over here.
It's like a magic 8 ball. You just turn it on and see what the suds write.
Well, yeah, it also helps that I wore my pants in there and all of my pocket notes got shredded, so I'm pretty sure they're stuck in the vents.
Dude, who doesn't wear their pants in the jacuzzi?
Exactly. I'll tell you who. Squaros. Woody Guthrie. Now that's a man who wore his pants in a hot tub.
What a loser. The
Oh
face
man.
of resistance. I
Yeah.
absolutely
This
love that.
machine kills fascists. Oh yeah, well this machine puts bubbles in water. So who's to say who contributed more to society?
I swear to God, more people have been in a hot tub than have heard Woody Guthrie.
Exactly.
That's not a lie.
Also, I mean, prior to jacuzzis, there were naturally occurring hot springs. Prior to Woody Guthrie, there was nothing. So, hot tubs, you played the long game, and I think you guys win on staying power alone.
Hot springs or twangy strings? Which way, Western man?
Oh, I like it. I've always been more of a Pete Seeger man, only because he's always smiling. Um, I love Pete Seeger. You got to appreciate anybody who was like got blacklisted, and instead of getting all their famous friends to help them work under the table, he's like, "That's fine. I'm just going to take trains around America, talk to people, and write a songbook."
Yeah, he was pretty cool. Pretty cool guy.
Yeah, yeah. I also love Pete Seeger because he wrote Old Time Rock and Roll.
And that
Yeah,
one
I'm just picturing him plinking away on his banjo and just take those old records off the shelf. Trying to think of. I mean, I do love the phenomenon. Recently, I've had a couple guests doing deep dives on music. We spoke to musician Clara Angle, and
yes.
my friend and everyone else's at Austin Rock's Face, and did a deep dive on the music of Randy Newman. And I do love the phenomenon, though, of really old artists doing covers of like current popular songs.
Yeah.
The one that stands out for me is John Cale, formerly of the Velvet Underground, doing a cover of LCD Sound System's "All My Friends." Have you heard that one?
No, I'm not.
It's atrociously bad.
Yeah.
And I think like anything like that sort of has to be, but I always do wonder, like, where does it end? Are we gonna get like Bob Dylan doing a cover of like T.I.'s rap verse on Blurred Lines or something like that?
I want that.
Yeah, I mean, just take a good girl. I know you want it. I don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. Watch your parking
like
meters.
Bob Dylan in all ways that aren't live.
Yeah, I like all of his. I like him until you start thinking about him too hard. Recently, actually, friend of the show and someone who I have not had the pleasure to speak with yet, but longtime Twitter friend, Matt Bastard. He actually helped me realize that if you go on the Village Voice website, you can find a whole bunch of their historical articles, namely the ones written by Lester Bangs. And
Okay.
as a young person, I'm going to guess that if you know who Lester Bangs is, it's because you saw Almost Famous, and that's about it.
I don't even know who Lester Bangs is.
Oh, cool. So, Lester Bangs, I guess, he came to prominence as a music critic, writing in sort of the 60s and 70s. But he was a super interesting cat and one of my heroes, because he would write really long form and personal essays where the musicians themselves are almost secondary to that.
Okay.
Then he, yeah, so in Almost Famous, he's played by Philip Seymour Hoffman, who also died very young for drug-related reasons. But
Very
he was
cool.
a real person and a very talented writer as well. Um, but yeah, and you can find some of his collections in that. But one article that you can find on the Voice site is actually from the 1970s, and it's a deep dive on Bob Dylan. I forget what record it was, but it's the one that has your favorite song, Hurricane,
Yeah.
aka Bob writing his own N-word pass. But it also, but I guess on the record there's also a song that's like a 16-minute song about the life and times of Joey Gallo, who
Okay.
was like mob affiliate in New York, who then got out of prison and sort of glad-handed with members of the arts community. And
Yeah.
I mean, he ended up being murdered by gangsters. And apparently Jerry Orbach was with him the night he died. But I gather Dylan was really drawn to this guy, and things like John Wesley Harding. Dylan's always sort of had a bit of a love for like that outlaw Robin Hood mentality. But
Yeah.
Lester Bangs, even in the 1970s, does a really interesting reading where it's like, how much of this is Dylan doing like a sincere sort of investigative like attempt to understand somebody, or is this Dylan taking the world and fitting it within that Dylan-esque framework? And if that's the case, is this exploitation, or does anyone other than Dylan benefit from that? And I find that so interesting because it feels like that sort of critical approach to a musician and their work feels like a much more modern intervention. But you go back in 1978, Lester Bangs is doing that in The Village Voice.
Yeah. The Hurricane song, I like it as like music. It's a good song to listen to. But if you listen to the
You
lyrics a
think
little
so?
too much,
8 minutes of squeaky violin and a whole bunch of white people. And that's the story of a hurricane.
dude, if I can listen to Bob Dylan's ear-piercing harmonica that no one decided to tone down, I can listen to
Look,
Hurricane.
everybody, I learned a second instrument. Bob, you're learning a second instrument. Then why's it on the record, man?
One of my favorite tweets I ever saw was like, for a song called Piano Man, the guy on the harmonica doesn't shut the fuck up.
It's up there with, for a song called Cocaine, it sure is mid-tempo. One of my friends actually had a tweet where it was, my boyfriend couldn't remember Tom Waits' name, so he was trying to describe him, and the takeaway was Spooky Bob Dylan.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly. If Bob Dylan recorded all of his albums in a haunted house, you would have Tom Waits.
I love that though.
Oh,
For
man.
something called Cocaine, it's so mid-tempo.
Well, exactly. And like, I mean, tying a few things together, it's so weird to go back to like a lot of, especially 1970s music criticism, when you kind of get the rise of like the critic as a figure themselves. And there are people like Robert Christgau and that who do better work than not. But then you go back to like anything printed by Rolling Stone, and it's like, you know, you open up the record reviews and it's like Jackson Browne 4.5 stars, and it's like, you know, maybe his music isn't for anyone, but you listen to a song like Cocaine, and those lyrics just cut right to the quick of the matter. And then you put on the song, it's, if you want to hang out, you've got to take her out. Cocaine. And I'm like, yep, this is speaking the hidden truth of the universe right here.
I know. Like, maybe Coke was just different back then, but...
Or like maybe the idea that, oh man, can he say that on a record?
Yeah, I know. He mentioned it. If I were to write a song about cocaine now, it would just be a bunch of dudes chewing their teeth and talking about we should start a business.
Okay, so like The Weeknd then.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, The Weeknd.
The Weeknd.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm of the opinion that after Clips dropped Hell Hath No Fury, there's no point going back to Coke rap because you're never going to do it better.
No, you're never. Well, I mean, we already made Rest in Peace by Megadeth too, and people still keep making music. So
I never got into Megadeth. Maybe this is your opportunity to school the mayor. Because even though Megadeth is probably more of my generation, I've never been a big metal guy. So all I know about Megadeth is Dave Mustaine used to be in Metallica, then he left and started Megadeth, and everybody hates him. Okay. Peace sells, but who's buying? Is that their big one?
I think so. Hold on here. Well, like Symphony of Destruction was like their big hit. Right?
Okay. And is that like Rhapsody in Blue?
No. And then there's like the album Rust in Peace was their best album. They still keep making music and it's not great. But yeah, he got kicked out of Metallica for being like a pretty heavy booze bag. And
Oh,
this
I was guessing like they kicked him out of Metallica because he kept insisting on the bus driver following the safety protocols. Get out of here, nerd! Hey, where's Cliff Burton?
doing the
Guys,
big
I don't know
bass
how
solo
to
in the
tell you.
sky.
Yep. I just imagine that whole event. Lars running back to the bus with a worried look on his face. Guys, we need a new bassist in a hurry.
We also need a new drummer. If you've listened to Saint Anger.
Now I'm of the understanding that Saint Anger is actually the only Metallica album that matters.
It does. It only matters if you are making fun of Metallica, which you absolutely should be at all times.
But I feel like that's death magnetic erasure. You got to be fair. Now, would you say that your lifestyle determines your death style?
That's just live by the sword, die by the sword, like rewritten. Like you're just
I
like,
know.
we'll just do that again.
Well, it's one of those things where you can tell when, whoever was in charge of writing that one, they just wrote on the page, they put the pen down, then they just sat back and like smiled at the paper for a good long time.
And if that's true, then James Hetfield's gonna die like surrounded by money and Vicodin, so.
Yeah, I mean, live by the metal industry, die by the metal industry.
But
Yeah,
okay,
so Megadeth, though, like, what's their whole deal? Because one thing I do know is that metal is multifaceted. On one end, you have your grindcores, your power violence, your Nordic sludge doomcore, and then your classic Bay Area speed metal and all that. So where does Megadeth fit in?
So Megadeth's like Bay Area. I'm pretty sure they're described by thrash metal. So
Okay.
and I'm pretty sure that the whole point of Megadeth is that they were like the revenge band that Mustaine put together for being kicked out of Metallica. And
Okay, so they got a good long career solely out of spite.
I think it started that way, and then they were like, okay, actually we're selling, so might as well. But the thing is with Megadeth is Mustaine is not a great singer at all. He's pretty bad actually. But for some reason,
that doesn't
it
have
works.
to be a limitation. Look
No,
at
it doesn't.
Joanna Newsom, Lana Del Rey, or Mayor Howard Vander.
Now, don't be mean to yourself. That's not nice.
I can sing great if I'm impersonating Dylan.
Or Trump impersonating LeBron.
Or Trump impersonating Bob Dylan. How many votes must a man? I would simply hire a chauffeur.
But okay, it's a little hard because I was making fun of Metallica there, right? For like, well, obviously they sold out and they got kind of lame and radio metal-y, right? But
yeah, because wasn't it Nothing Else Matters? I think that's the turning point where everyone's like, man, they're playing low tempo and they're actually singing notes. This is bullshit.
yeah, everything up to and sort of including And Justice for All, which is like their fourth album, is good. And then after that, it's not great. However, I can kind of understand that, like, it must be hard to reckon with that you've peaked and that, you're going downhill artistically. But, like, how do you tell yourself that, okay, now's the time to stop when the money keeps rolling in? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's difficult because, when you're suddenly making things for public consumption, certainly whether or not there's any obligation you have to your fans, whether or not that's true, that perception certainly opens up, right? I mean, I'm also thinking in other contexts, like when Georges St-Pierre won the split decision over Johnny Hendricks and said, my brain is all messed up. I don't want to fight for a while. I think I'm taking some time off. And then Dana White, who was still on his journey evolving into Joe Rogan, basically at the press conference was all like, that's a coward's move. You owe it to me. You owe it to the fans to get out there and defend your belt. And it's like, no, that's the whole
No.
thing about signing people to a contract, right? He is not your employee. Remember how you insisted on that? So
Yeah.
at this point, GSP can kind of do whatever he wants.
It's like everyone, because yeah, if you quit at your peak or around there, everyone's always going to say, well, they had so much more in them, that sucks, right? And, you know, do you think Nirvana would have sold out if Kurt didn't die and like made like 3 really shit albums? Probably.
Oh man, can you imagine Nirvana doing a rap album?
Oh my God. Because you got Dave Grohl involved, so it's going to be shit once the 2000s hit.
Yeah, I like to imagine that any Nirvana records would have sounded exactly like Probot. What might have been. Hey, Lemmy was part of that too. Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, like, people are like, they say always leave your audience wanting more, and I think sometimes we do discover all too clearly what happens when the thing that we're waiting for finally arrives, and that's why you get things like Chinese democracy.
I know. Which is a shame, because Buckethead's great on his own. I don't know if you agree.
I understand the argument that he is a virtuosic technical musician. I refuse to say that anybody whose shtick is wearing a mask and a KFC bucket on their head and calls themselves Buckethead has to be a great artist.
He doesn't have to be a great artist, but he's pretty good. He's also released like 30 albums or something like that.
Yeah,
like
and like Satriani, Steve Vai, there's this whole industry of guys who are just really good at guitar, making like 40 albums of them being really good at guitar. And it's one of those things where it's like, I know a guy who saw Joe Satriani play live, and it's like, what was that like? Well, he started soloing, and it was really impressive. And then like 10 minutes later, you look at your watch and be like, yep, that guy can sure play guitar. And then you look at your watch again, and it's like, I don't know what you do with it, right? I'm not the type of person that gets a lot when I sit down, and then just hear a disc of absolute face-melting solos. I like bands, right? I like words.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, it probably, if it appeals to different people in different moods, that's just the arts, right?
Yeah, and I feel like there's only one artist in the present that's really finding a way to like combine interesting music with interesting and topical wordplay, and that's Woody
Vander.
Guthrie. Actually, just kidding. It's Lana Del Rey. I think her
Do we not
ability,
like her anymore?
I think her ability to tap into the zeitgeist is unparalleled. I like how it's also absolutely only a matter of time before you get your Lana Del Rey album title generator.
Yeah.
Where it's just going to be like, Bitcoin during quarantine, or...
I'm pretty sure Grimes already copyrighted that.
Okay, soda pop and reproductive health. Abortion rights and gamer scores. Hi, everybody, I'm Lana Del Rey.
Do people not like Lana Del Rey?
I know I don't.
Okay.
I know she's had a lot of backlash. I gather there's been an ongoing question about authenticity because apparently her parents are very connected to like the LA music scene, and a question of nepotism there. I remember she got a lot of heat though for a couple interviews. One where she talked about how like, honestly, the best thing to do if you're famous is die young. And then Frances Bean Cobain like tweeted her being like, I disagree respectfully. And it's like, well, this is awkward.
That is awkward.
I also remember an interview with Lana where they asked her about like being, whether or not she saw herself as a feminist. And she did that like mealy mouth bullshit where it's like, I don't think it's a question that's very interesting. I'd rather think about cool stuff like Hyperloop. And I'm like, you'd rather think about building a new kind of subway that's worse than the old subway and they gave it a different name than things that will materially benefit you and many others?
Was
Well, I
Hyperloop
guess
the
when you're
Tesla thing?
famous, you have that privilege.
Was Hyperloop the Tesla thing?
Yeah, it's hey guys, instead of the fully operational subway system, what about a thing where you could park a special kind of car and then it would take you longer to get there and
Oh
you
yeah, it
also
was
have to
just a
pay a monthly
car.
fee for it.
Yeah, it was just you just drove. It was just a tunnel, wasn't it?
Yeah, picture a ski lift. Now, imagine it travels at higher speeds underground and laterally.
That's awesome.
It's awesome that you can get municipalities to pay for it, but
Oh.
I mean, those Viking haircuts, they don't come cheap.
Oh my fucking god. Why was that news, man?
Because people insist on making themselves into news.
I guess. I guess.
You know who wouldn't have given his son a Viking haircut?
Woody Guthrie.
Woody Guthrie. Arlo, he wore a proper shag, and that's why he wrote Alice's Restaurant, and their weird ass baby didn't.
I don't think Woody Guthrie would bust unions either, so.
Yeah, probably not. You never know. Maybe he got a little older and realized, you know, these property taxes are going up all the time. And that's how it starts.
I think my favorite thing though, because I read the thing on the Viking haircut, and there was a part where Musk was quoted, and he refers to her as Grimes, like when he just talks about her, like his wife that he has a child with, he just calls her Grimes.
Now, I'll
That kind of
freely admit, I know nothing about Grimes other than the fact that she's married to Elon Musk. She's a musician?
yeah, I think
Okay.
so. Yeah, she's made music. I haven't really heard it, unless I have and like didn't remember, like didn't. Oh, that was Grimes. I don't know if she's had a hit or anything.
I mean, clearly it got somebody's attention. But yeah, I did see one post that mentioned that and then followed up with a tweet of Barack Obama. Hello, my wife, Michelle. Michelle, sup, Obama.
What is Obama's last name? I guess we'll never know.
I know, it's probably the same thing as Bono and Shares. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, like, I think there's also something innately hilarious about Musk and Grimes being this power couple.
I
It's like,
know.
if you got Musk and Grimes in your basement, that's a sign you need to work harder.
I'm so glad everyone hates Musk now. I'm so happy about it because there was a
Uh,
really long time where
let's
people.
make a correction there. Everyone that you talk to hates Elon Musk. There are a scary number of people that white knight for him on the internet because I guess he's going to pick one at random and be like, for your loyalty to Tesla, I'm going to make you my squire.
He's the richest man in the world now, right?
He currently is, yes. That's why he bought Tom Hardy's mouth.
I watched a movie with Tom Hardy in it last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, have you seen the movie Lawless?
Yes, I have actually. Which, funny enough, on the soundtrack is that bluegrass cover of the Velvet Underground's "White Light, White Heat." John Cale was a member, which takes us back to the beginning.
Oh
Solid
wow.
flick. I like Guy Pearce's haircut.
Yeah. I'm a Shia LaBeouf fan for like the stuff he's in. So I was really into it, but I guess a lot of people hated him in it.
I think it was fine because you get to see him get the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's well, I was recently talking to producer Medium Hollow, and it's I think there is often that danger of assuming that everyone we encounter online has read the same things as we do, and he's like,
That's
I
true.
just think that Shia LaBeouf is a fascinating person. I'm like, yeah, but I think there's definite limits to where it stops being fascinating and starts being like culpable accessory to something. It's like, well, what do you mean? And at the time, Hollow hadn't heard of any of the FKA Twigs allegations or anything like that.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
haven't
it's
either. What?
complicated because LaBeouf is one of those cats that staggeringly like transparent for a celebrity in terms of like acknowledging shitty parts of your upbringing or even those parts of yourself. I think there's
Yeah.
a danger though where because you're sort of on record being like, my upbringing was very traumatic. In a lot of ways, I am a survivor of things. There's almost that tendency to be like, okay, well, maybe he is an abuser as well, but he comes by it honestly, and it's like, I don't really want to entertain this conversation.
I
Um,
didn't hear anything about the abuser stuff.
Basically, he's like Jared Leto, where very
Oh,
much a person that really likes exercising control over others. And
okay.
there's more to it than that. I'm not immersed enough to speak much more than that. But yeah, it's one of those things where, you often have to make your separations. But the problem is, it's like when you live online, you tend to forget that people's knowledge of something is never complete. And
Yeah.
as a friend of the show, Horatio Scald, pointed out, it's like, I live in a world, like, people tell me that the right wing is an echo chamber. Everybody I know does not actually know that Joe Biden has a fairly credible sexual assault accusation against him, but everyone can tell you that Rudy Giuliani farted in testimony, you know?
Yeah, I know.
And
Yeah.
even though the sphere of communicable space grows larger, that doesn't mean our awareness grows any larger than what we choose to encounter in a day.
Yeah. I mean, I don't the whole like cancel culture thing, I'd rather not. You know what I
You'd
mean?
rather not cancel people?
No,
Good
no,
to
no.
know.
Like
It's
I'd
like,
rather not. Like I don't
Josh
know.
Barrel, on record, leave white men alone.
No, it seems like the people that like most aggressively are angry about cancel culture. It seems like there's something there that they don't want people finding out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There
I
are
mean, I
so
certainly
many
get
people
that.
in this world you don't have to associate with people that were racist 5 years ago.
Yeah, and I mean, the idea where it's like, well, if we dug through anybody's tweets, we'd find something controversial. And I'm like, yeah, but what are you expecting people to find? Um, at the same time, though, I do worry about that logic, though, because as much as one can, I try to believe in the rule of law. I try to believe in justice. And I remember, like, certainly in my lifetime, when the Patriot Act was passed, and everybody's like, hey guys, maybe it's not cool that state power can suddenly tap your phone without a warrant. And the common rebuttal to that was, the only people who need to be worried are people who have something to hide. And I'm like, I don't know if that's something I would agree with either. There's something to
Yeah,
be said for a principled stance against an idea, even though it doesn't necessarily affect you directly.
yeah. There's
But
a
with
difference
cancel
though
culture,
between
I
like
feel
people
like
being like, "Ew, you're
everybody is
gross."
connected. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a difference between everyone realizing that you're gross and being like, "Oh, he's gross. I'm not gonna associate with them anymore," or like getting arrested. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
You're
I
not
mean,
gonna
that's
get
sort of.
arrested being racist on Twitter.
I've been thinking about it though, and like, I think something I'm always curious when people raise the idea of cancel culture is, what does cancel culture mean to you?
Um, it's a thing that's always been active in humans, I guess. Like as societies, we've always had cancel culture. Just before it was like, you know, like if you go back far enough, gay people, you were canceled for being gay, even though you didn't call it being canceled. Or,
And if
this
you
person's a
grew up on the
Satanist.
Isle of Sapphos, you would actually be canceled for not being gay.
That's true. What a time to be alive.
And a lady.
Isn't that where like the Wonder Woman arc is? Wasn't she from there?
Uh, Paradise Island. I think they're Amazonians, not
Okay.
lesbians, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
All I know about Wonder Woman 1984 is everybody hated it. Presumably, she goes after Arafat, ropes him up with the lasso of truth, and he admits, nope, this is all because I'm jealous. I don't know. I think the moment that you start overlaying superheroes onto like key parts of American mythology, nothing good comes from that.
Yeah, I know. I hate also the huge boner for 80s nostalgia that happens. That's why I stopped watching Stranger Things after like halfway through the first season. It
Yeah,
seems yeah, it just I don't know. It doesn't
I mean, we
seem
all
right.
drag Family Guy for not writing jokes, but rather just holding up like an index of pop culture and then drawing associations at random. But I
Yep.
mean, there's a lot of nostalgia driven work where its value is solely in its nostalgic effect, where
Yeah.
like if you didn't grow up in the 1980s or you don't have a particularly fond memory of having a Game Boy or something, it's like, well, what's really in this show for you then?
Yeah, I didn't grow up in the 80s, so seeing a bunch of people go to an arcade and be like, "Wow, an arcade! Jazzercise!" Like,
Well, it's also, even if you are a person who understands that, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to keep watching 13 episodes of this because one time they went to an arcade and I remembered having fun. It's just, I don't know who that's for. But even with the branding of stuff like the Thor Ragnarok, I didn't see it because the trailer came out and I'm like, oh, everything's neon and there's Jeff Goldblum and oh, we're doing a wacky throwback. I'm like, I'll pass, thanks.
yeah. Ragnarok I actually really liked though. Not generally a fan of like the Marvel universe, but that one was pretty good. I really like Jeff Goldblum though.
Wow, that's I mean, Goldblum's appeal will find a way. He's fine. I don't know. I feel like after a point, he's somebody where I'm like the sudden resurgence in popularity. I'm like, I feel like you can't separate that from irony and meme culture and just being that sort of knowing contrarian. I'm
Yeah.
like, I feel like you can't split that out, and I try hard. You know, it's impossible to encounter to go through life without encountering irony. But I think when you incorporate too much irony into your day to day, that's when you start losing sight of the actual value of things.
Yeah, you can't live your life behind 5 levels of irony and sarcasm.
Yeah, then again,
'Cause
we did start our own media company this week, so
that's true.
I never said
Not
I wasn't a
ironic though. Very
hypocrite.
cool thing to do. Very cool,
Exactly.
serious thing to do.
And I mean, I think that's probably why you and I work together very well because we like absurdity, but we approach it honestly and sincerely,
That's true.
as opposed to, sort of that Cartoon Network type vibe where it's like, oh man, dig on this. It's a show about a bunch of animals that play in a van, and it's so stupid, but that's why it's funny.
I know. If you always are behind all those layers of irony and sarcasm, people that people that observe you don't think you're as smart as you do. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the same argument of like Dan Harmon is changing the way we look at television, and I'm like, because he's referring to movies that were popular 10 years ago as opposed to 5.
Is Dan Harmon a Rick and Morty guy? Is
I
that
think he is Rick and Morty. He did do Community though, up until he got fired from his own show.
oh, oh. Yeah, Rick and Morty, that's a killer. I don't know
I
if
have
that's a
never seen an episode of Rick and Morty, and I don't want to be that guy that like holds that up like it's a status card of some kind. I genuinely haven't seen it, and I know every time I mention it on the internet, I got a lot of well-meaning, nice people being like, "You should give it a chance. It's pretty smart if you separate the more outrageous elements of the fandom." And I'm like, "See, that's the problem because I can't, because I have encountered much more of the fandom than of the series itself."
turns
And like
himself
when
into
you
a
get to the
pig.
point where Run the Jewels is doing a video using your animation, that I'm like, I feel like it's sort of that kind of like cultural object where it's like it no longer really matters if you've seen it or not.
Yeah, you've seen enough people wearing the shirts. You're pretty.
Now, would you say that you are Pickle Rick? And if so, is that the funniest thing you've ever seen?
It is the funniest shit I've ever seen. See, the thing is, I'm too stupid to understand Rick and Morty because you have to have a
Oh,
very high IQ. I like the pretty pictures and I like the fart jokes, but I don't
I mean, who
understand it.
doesn't?
I know, right? So I had
Yeah.
to stop because the whole storyline of a weak little boy and a drunk uncle that burps a lot. Or drunk grandfather that burps a lot, I guess. I don't know. It's too much for me.
Mm.
Science and things.
Now, what if, even though the grandfather was a scientist, he wasn't very good at it, and like problems happen?
Well, then you just have Back to the Future.
Oh wow. So why did they make it a second time? I guess the same way that with the idea of cancel culture, it's like I think often when people use terms like cancel culture, they're just talking about accountability. And if we're talking about something that we already have a term for, why did we create a new one?
Because it's only cancel culture when it happens to them.
Yeah, that's true. It's I did see a good take from other friend of the show, at Garlic Corgi, who somebody had a post where it's like, what's going on with GameStop? This is the new front in class war. We tried to occupy Wall Street. Well, now we can commodify and profit off Wall Street. What if we all bought in and we were able to take over companies like Google and stuff? And
Yeah.
Tim's response was, you're talking about a hostile takeover, and none of you have nearly enough money to make this happen.
No.
It's like, stop rebranding things that we already have, especially when there's literally no difference.
Watching leftists try to hop on the Wall Street stuff is absolutely fucking hilarious. Like, look, guys, we did it. No, you fucking didn't. You did
Well,
none of
again,
that.
give it a week, right? We'll see how it shakes out in the wash. But it is kind of upsetting, though, to see how many left adjacent people who are nominally friends losing friendships and screaming at each other because they disagree over certain observations made as a whole bunch of other people light private money on fire. I'm
Yeah.
like, in spite of everything, this is the tipping point where you realize, no, we can't be allies anymore. And it's like, what's the point? Who benefits from this? Whether you're for or against, using the master's tools to dismantle his house, or whatever your take is on it, it's like I feel like most people are spectating from the outside, and if that's the case, then why do we feel so passionate about this that we need to end friendships over those disagreements?
Yeah, I know. I think it's a cool thing, though. I think it's like, shoe on the other foot kind of deal. I mean, whatever.
Yeah,
There's no reason why they couldn't do that, why they shouldn't do that.
well, there's also, I mean, something to be said for the idea that deplatforming Trump sets a dangerous precedent. And it's like, well, not really, because this is something that has always been within the power of tech platforms from the get go. And so it's not that this is now the moment where all of a sudden they can mass ban lefties or anything. If they wanted to, they always could have.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
nothing really changes in that regard. But I'm also a firm believer, though. That I guess if something was going to be an effective lever to overthrow state power and bring us towards the glorious future of Marxist Leninism, I don't think the state would give you access to that lever so easily.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, that's the thing, though. They're like preventing people from buying these stocks now.
Yeah, and I mean that's a whole other argument. You know who didn't need a stock portfolio to be happy?
What do you got through?
LeBron James.
I wonder what Woody's take on this would be.
He would probably first off they would ask him to put out his cigarette because he can't do that inside anymore. And well, I mean, honestly, going back to Pete Seeger, I remember seeing an interview where he was reflecting on his friendship with Woody Guthrie, and he was saying that after World War II, they were sort of like, we did it. we fought back fascism. Our side won. And apparently, what Woody said to him is, fascism is always going to come back, and all it takes is for the wealthy to have enough money to be listened to by the generals. And that's why
Yeah.
those guys will be eternally remembered. And, whatever flavor of the month is writing dubstep remix Open Letter to the President will be forgotten. Shout out to his family. We need more David Guetta remixes of Woody Guthrie, I think.
Oh my God, was that the George Floyd thing you were just referencing?
That's the George Floyd thing. Which may be the single greatest thing I've seen all year. For those who don't know, David Guetta, I guess a club circuit DJ, doing a set where he samples MLK's I Have a Dream speech. But at the beginning, he dedicates it while multitasking and setting the EQ and the crossfade. He's giving some half-hearted words about George Floyd, and then caps it off with "shout out to his family." I'm like, well, if I was them, this would help me through my grief.
I have a love-hate relationship with specifically Northern European DJs.
Okay, go on.
Because if you're there and you're dancing and stuff, and you just hear some Norwegian guy go, "Ecstasy is rhythm of night." I don't know, it just kind of kills the mood for me.
I know, you just stomp down on the delay pedal and scream, "My wife." I mean, it does seem like a whole other world where it's like, I don't know who these people are. I know that they can get 200,000 people into an open air place in Ibiza, and everybody's more than happy to pay full price. So if you can, more power to you. It's just file under things I don't understand. But yeah, who was it? Armin van Buren. He was a guy who he had his own podcast, State of Trance, I think it was, and he would just play trance music. But he would interpolate his own narration. So you'd be listening to Chillwave and whatever. And then it's like, "You are listening to State of Trance. It is a place to open up your mind." And I'm like, this feels uncomfortably didactic. But then again, most German people yelling at me over a loudspeaker does feel uncomfortable.
It kind of feels like when you rip music off LimeWire. And someone would just insert their DJ name halfway through.
Yeah, I remember when Man Overboard by Blink-182, I remember downloading that, and I've never been able to find this specific copy, but whoever ripped it got it off the radio because at the beginning you hear 106.3, The Point. Boom, sorry, it's over.
The one that sticks in my head.
There's so much more than I wanted to. Sorry, that's that's Donald Trump doing Tom DeLonge.
Where are you?
Can anybody hear me? Because I've been deplatformed.
It's kind of hard to write music about hating your parents when you're 40, though.
Well, you know what they say. Some days you're the angel, some days you're the airwaves. Boxcar Racer, going downhill fast.
The one I have
Folks, we have a lot of fun here on the Vander Jam.
Is I ripped Mosh by Eminem.
Okay, that's his voting song, right?
Yeah, it's his anti-Bush song with the line "fuck Bush" in it, right? Can't believe his presidency.
Did he say that?
I can't believe his presidency survived.
Okay, well, when that dropped, everybody was like, "Eminem's an idiot. Doesn't he realize the registration deadline had passed?" I think it's a cool video. Because remember, I remember it's a lot of silhouetted art and everyone's marching on the Capitol, and it seems like they're about to strike. And then it shows, hey, everyone's registering to vote. I think I feel very differently about the power and efficacy of electoralism now than I did when that video dropped. It's still a cool video.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to go back to Bush era protest music.
You don't like the Dixie Chicks? Come on.
I love the Dixie Chicks. Honestly, I think they're more real ones than anything Anti-Flag did. But yeah, So you were recently sampling Mosh by Eminem, Enema
Yeah,
Man.
I ripped it from LimeWire, and halfway through, like not even in like a part where Eminem's not rapping, some guy just goes like "Murder DJ." Like halfway through,
Oh man,
kind of.
that reminds me. I remember once on YouTube finding a guy who was rapping over a sample of Clips's "Popular Demand," which is a
Yeah.
pretty killer track. Um, but by sampling, what he actually meant was, I'm just going to play the song, not isolate any of the audio, and I'm just going to yell over top of Pusha T and Cameron. And I remember the hook was just, you understand, you ain't worth my pots and pans. And I'm like, is this a turn of phrase I don't get, or is this a turn of phrase that you're hoping is going to catch on?
Dude, if someone said that to you in the street to your face, though, you're done. It's over.
I know.
But
Like if Sporty Thieves rolled up and told me they didn't want no pigeons, how do you come back from that?
it's like the how to say no to marijuana pamphlet you got. Like, no,
Uh,
stoners are loners, man. I'm not smoking weed.
exactly. It's I always mix that one up with How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb, which is the U2 album everyone got mad about.
Oh, that's the one
I
that
like
just
to think that following a lawsuit, U2 had to reprint the liner notes with a big disclaimer: "Warning: This record will not tell you how to dismantle an atomic bomb."
how to put everyone on the country on the NSA list right away.
Exactly. And all it took was iTunes. I don't know why that's Bono. Hey, can you do Donald Trump impersonating Bono?
Well, they both don't pay taxes, so there's something there. Whoa!
Uh, oh, can he say that?
You didn't say
Clearly he can. Oh, there's a knock on the door. We're in big trouble. Joseph Robinette Biden, pardon us now. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Trump's probably a big U2 fan. He just likes the groove and melodies.
Probably. What do you
Yeah,
think?
he's
What do you
he's
think
very
is
much a sweetest thing guy. Okay, Edge, play the blues. Followed
Who
by a
let the Edge
solo
have
of
that many
Edge
pedals?
not playing the blues.
He just plays one note, but he has enough like reverb and repeat pedals.
See, people drag him for that, and I'm like, nope, that is absolutely fine.
Oh,
That's
it's
what
fine.
they're there for. So much music is figuring out not what you can play, but what you can turn things into.
That's true. It's fine. I
Didn't you
mean,
see that documentary with him and Jack White?
yeah, it might get loud. And Jimmy Page,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yes, these
I
three are
remember,
equals.
yep, I remember hitting about the halfway point of the film and be like, they should have called this movie It Might Get Worse, because it did.
My favorite is Jack White showing Jimmy Page how to play Seven Nation Army. And Jimmy Page is
Yeah.
like, he's doing his best. He really is to like act like this is something new he's learning. But it's like it's the most basic riff you do. Like when you learn guitar, one of the first things you play is Seven Nation Army. And he's
Yep,
like following along and nodding his head to it, like, yeah, okay, oh yeah, oh yeah.
exactly.
Incredible.
It doesn't sound quite right yet. Oh, that's because you need a woman that I'm pretending is my sister to play 1-2 drums behind it.
I thought they were married.
They are, but they also pretend to be siblings for a while.
Gross.
Also, he took Meg's last name when they got married. He's a weird ass cat. Remember
Yeah,
when
he
he
is.
beat up that guy from the Von Bondies?
No, I don't. That happened?
Okay, and then he decided to spend the rest of his life dressing like Michigan Johnny Depp.
I remember the White Stripes played a show near me. Like they were playing in like the stadium that we have here, like the hockey arena. But they also decided to play a pop-up show at like a flour mill, like out of nowhere,
Whoa.
like 30 people. It was the biggest fucking deal because it was right across the street from my high school.
Okay.
That was
I guess
awesome.
the old people buying their flour were probably appreciative of their unique blend of bluesy jazz rock.
No, no, because no one fucking goes there. It's like a historic
Wow.
site, so they thought that people would be there. So they like
Maybe they were
showed up.
shy.
I'm shy,
We
lol.
don't want to go anywhere too big. I just imagine those like, yeah, give me 3 pounds of the whole grain, please. Hey, everybody at the flour mill, you ready to rock? I fell in love with a go.
I really like the White Stripes, so they're cool. Really cool.
Yeah, I haven't been to a concert in too long, so I'm just assuming everybody begins by yelling, "Hey, audience, are you ready to rock?"
It's like how every rap song starts with "My name is blank and I'm here to say."
I actually had a $10 bet with a friend once over whether any actual rap song began with "My name is and I'm here to say." We ended up calling it a wash because the only one that I could come up with was "Freddy's Dead" by the Fat Boys. Um, Technically, that one does, but it's on Freddy's verse, and the song doesn't open with that.
Ah, wait, we
I know.
actually couldn't find a single song.
I could not. Believe me, Googling "my name is and I'm here to say" just brings up a whole bunch of blog posts of conservative commentators pretending they know about rap. It's like how whenever somebody older than your parents tries to approximate what they think rap music is like, you notice that they always throw up the hands and go, "Yo, my homies."
I know, and they like put one hand over the other, kind of like a Frankenstein walk, like ooh, a bad.
Well, my name's Cobain, and I'm here from Nirvana. Uh, my head makes a mess. Don't get any on ya. Folks, were terrific. That's what Nirvana's rap album would have sounded like. And on that note, that's probably the official sign that we're done. Josh, I intended to ask you a lot more art-related questions and not spend about 50 minutes talking about Woody Guthrie, but
I'm glad we did
I
though.
am I am so glad that we did. I make it no secret that even aside from nepotistic reasons, you are one of my favorite people to talk to, and one of my favorite people on Twitter. And in that spirit, before we say goodbye, I will throw it to you. Where can people get in touch with you, find out more about your amazing art, and do you have anything else that you want to plug, promote, or shout out other than George Floyd's family?
You can find me on Twitter at Josh Barrel. The O in Josh is a 0. Commissions are open. If you like what you see, let me know. We can work something out. Also follow at Vander. Is it Vandertainment Media L? Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Uh,
I
Follow.
didn't realize that I was entering the username, so now our media company has L baked into it, but don't
Okay,
let that fool you. We're definitely a W.
we are. Yeah, follow
That
all
that's
that.
yeah, W. That's what the V stands for in Vander.
The W in Vanderjam is for win. Um,
Yes, we definitely need a new design of that. And speaking of which, where can people purchase all of your cool artwork printed on 100% cotton blends that rave reviews from the audience say, "This is the most comfortable non-Hawaiian shirt I own"?
if you go to tpublic.com and look up the Vanderjam or Vanderjam, you will find, I think we have like 8 designs now on shirts. Also can be printed on mugs, throw pillows, blankets, magnets, stickers, phone cases, masks, anything you need.
Yep. And if it's not on that site, it's not worth wearing or decorating your home with.
Oh, dude, I can't wait. I can't wait when we blow up and we're a household name. The knockoff shirts from non-English speaking countries, like Bart Simpson.
Oh yeah. Oh
I
man,
can't
it'll be
wait for
like
that.
me on a skateboard and it's like eat my shorts, capitalism. I don't know. All
The
right,
Gulf
so
War
definitely
sucked.
that's in
I
the
was there,
works.
man.
Yeah, we'll make our own bootleg merchandise based off our own existing merchandise.
Well, I know what I'm doing for the rest of my day.
Oh man, this is gonna be sick. I can't wait to stand outside my apartment and sell T-shirts to dumbasses. Um, Josh, thank you very much for making the time and taking the time. I rarely laugh as much as when I'm talking to you, and once again, you have proven the kids are truly all right.
Thanks for having me, Howard.
Always a pleasure, never a chore, and I'm sure it's only a matter of time before we gab some more. You got something pithy to see us out with?
Sorry, what?
You got a folksy aphorism or a little wisdom for all the young people or the Danish listeners that apparently I have.
Vander's the podcast of future. Get into it.
Oh wow, my life indeed. Wrong.